Hello.
Hello.
Did you um have any updates or stuff that you wanted to check in about?
Yes. Sorry.
Your mic does not appear to be passing sound to Zoom. Zoom thinks you're unmuted. Your video is going fine. Your audio doesn't seem to be maybe the right source. If you're talking, you should see the little green microphone go up and down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, there
Yep.
you go. You
Okay,
fixed
I'm
it.
back. Sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, right. So I was on a MacBook Mini, like the old school,
Yeah,
uh, you know, gets it done. I just got a new laptop. I've got an M3 laptop now,
awesome.
as of like yesterday. So thank you for bearing with me.
That's fine.
Um, I do have updates. I can
Okay.
start dropping links, but I'll just cover them succinctly because I'm trying to be better at communicating.
Okay.
Um, uh, in order of doneness, there is in my guac fork,
Yep.
um, there is a branch called schema dump, or rather schema export. I'll rename it. It says schema dump
Yeah.
now. But I've added a command to the guac CLI called schema export, which exports DDL for Ladybug DB. It would work just as well on any kind of ciphery
Yep.
like memgraph or whatever. Um, and it works. The idea is you can run guac, as we had talked about, whether it's in a CI job locally on a server or whatever. You build and enrich a graph, and then at any point you can go schema export, and you've got DDL that makes the database and populates it with the contents of that, and that's all driven from the innate, or not the innate, but the inbuilt or in use ORM in Go that models the GraphQL interface, which is sort of the source. The
Yeah.
source. So that schema is generated specifically. So all GraphQL relationships in all directions are modeled in that graph, and then the export is done. If for those not familiar with Ladybug, DuckDB is to Postgres as Ladybug is to something like memgraph or
Yep.
Nginx or whatever. Um, so it's an embedded database, vectorized operations, uses arrow for zero copy semantics. Um, uh, so um, there are kind of two ways. And lastly, this is the technical nugget of that whole work stream, which is one of two, three really, but two being delivered that we could talk about work streams as we conclude this initiative. And one can do a whole bunch of merge statements, as is done in more traditional transaction-based databases like
Mhm.
Neo4j and others that have ACID semantics. But as DuckDB is wildly different in its design goals than
Yeah.
something like Postgres, Ladybug is similarly that way. I've been experimenting with memgraph as well, but I kind of like Ladybug because it's as small and simple as can be. So it is single user, right? And it is meant not to have merge with graph traversals, but it is meant to have a well-formed data frame, if you will, or a table that is the nodes and another one that is the relationships. So,
Yeah.
um, so that's the context for the guac additional command line. It's to put it specifically in that way. And the way it's intended to be used, and this is what I'm wrapping a bow on and making a blog about, is when doing this graph export, it's actually better to put it into DuckDB first, because you can then materialize extremely quickly those node
Mhm.
and edge tables as join queries, right?
Yeah.
And it just does that faster. And then it has the additional benefit of being able to slurp in data from, in this case, GraphQL query responses, which are JSON
Mhm.
lines with deeply nested
Yeah.
problematic traditionally kind of stuff. And lastly, the one of the DuckDB magic features for ingesting data, particularly from JSON lines,
Mhm.
whether it's the GitHub archive, the history of a GitHub project, or this graph, or whatever, um, it's to auto find in all of the columns and their types. And so we've got some pretty specific scripts, which is sort of a segue to the second work stream, which
Um, I want to
is
I want
also
to get one more
wrapping up.
detail on the first work stream.
Yes,
Um,
sure. We can take
this
this
is
depth first or breadth first, as you like.
um, let's go depth first so that we
Sure.
don't end up revisiting nodes over and over again as we go to the next
Yes.
level.
Let me pull up the
Uh,
notes again.
So the one question I had was this is currently in a fork. It sounds like your plan is to contribute this upstream.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
And
So it's
so
that branch has been staged and has been stable for some time. There are tests and things.
um, have the Guac maintainers indicated a willingness to accept?
Uh, no. In
Okay.
fact, I'm being very deliberate in the sequencing of actions, and that's one of the things I'm glad we're going depth first because I could use guidance, and I'll tell you what
Yeah.
my assumptions and my intentional sequencing
Yeah.
has been, which is this initiative comes to a conclusion, which it is now. It is achieving some
Yeah.
aims, and we have some results to talk about and things that you can run that actually work. Um, and so as sort of like the exit wind down plan for this initiative, it is my intention to propose this to Guac, but I have not yet gone to the Guac meeting. I lurk, but I have not brought this up as an issue there until we are concluding here and we have recommendations. One of which is this fork makes sense as reviewed by you and
Well,
tag security, and it's supported because I want this to be another place where CNCF and OpenSSF do it the right way in terms of
I
open
mean,
source collaboration.
I think the right thing to do here, if it's a PR to the Guac project, is
That's what this will be, yes.
to pre-flight this and say, before you dump the PR, say, hey, I've been doing some analysis with Guac and I
Yes,
found this
this is what I
workflow
want to bring
handy.
up hopefully tomorrow.
Yeah.
I assume we have a meeting tomorrow. I haven't been during the KubeCon downtime, but yes, that is specifically exactly my intention. You stated it perhaps better.
Okay.
But yes, so I want to get the feedback from where I'm working now, not go do something out there. Like again, like I want this to be a demonstrator for how one can engage and collaborate with an open source project from within a CNCF work stream. To another foundation, in this case, the
I mean, to
OpenSSF,
another
because it's
project, it doesn't
germane.
matter whether it's in a foundation or not.
Oh, well, I just mean like within the Linux
In this case,
Foundation.
it
This is an
happens to be
example of
within LF.
cross-foundation collaboration between
But
right. So that's a TOC goal and has been for a number of
yeah,
years to just kind of like have that happen, and tag security and this domain seems to have quite a tradition. I've had some time to do some reading and catch
yeah,
like you've mapped out this and I don't this is my first time through. So
yeah.
absolutely pre-flighting this with tag
So my point
security is
is,
my
um,
intention.
it's great that Guac is another LF project. But
Right.
if this was Ladybug DB, that we
or
had
whatever. Yeah,
that we were proposing some changes to that wasn't an LF project, we should do the same thing.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Meaning
all.
pre-flight it, yes.
Yeah,
So that's what I'm hoping to get on the
yeah,
agenda. I had offered to demo. I need to go check. I can't remember the exact date I had signed up for a community demo, but I don't know if it's later in the week or next week or whatever. But I'm happy to do that. I'd love to just walk through. Here's what we did, and I can run it really quick. You know,
I mean, you
and
may not even need to do that. They may say, "Oh yeah, that totally makes sense," or
well, so
"Hey,
I've talked about this at the previous meetings
yeah,
just before KubeCon, and some of the feedback I got both from TOC when I mentioned this in a targeted
yeah,
way, as well as tag security, was like, "Wow, that sounds like a lot." And I said, "Yes, over KubeCon, I'm going to go write all this up and then present it when we're all
yeah."
back, because it is a lot. I've been doing a lot,
Yeah.
and it's been, but it's
I
all
think I think the
yeah.
that is a lot is you know feedback that we're hoping it will get captured in places that are durable. And my first piece of advice
Places that
is
are what?
durable,
Oh, yes.
that they don't just fall apart the moment you look away.
I would hope not. Or but I mean, also to be fair, like if I've gone and
There
built the
may be
wrong damn
parts
thing, then like that's okay too. You know,
there may be parts that do fall apart. And that is the life and nature of these things. But let's try to make sure that there are some that don't. And this guac export functionality seems like it could be useful in many other contexts.
yes,
So let's
yes.
get the
So
guac project to
I was
adopt
kind of
maintenance for
doing a
that.
I was trying to capture the methodology as well, but uh here is the actual link, so I can just put it in our notes of something durable to your point. Um,
I guess my point is this seems like a general improvement to guac. I would hope that the team would be welcoming and appreciative of it. Um, but if they aren't, maintaining an external fork of these things is hard.
I have
So,
no desire to do that. They move nice and quick. They pick up
it,
every security update they need. And
yeah,
like for example, this fork right now needs to be synced. I'll go do that. But
that's
the README
yeah,
doesn't change. So I've put a link in Slack
yep,
and here. So that's sort of work stream number one, and that's been done for some time. But now I've actually come back and I'm actually using it. Before I just made it and I said I'm going to need this Lego.
yeah.
But now I'm using that Lego for my castle. So yeah. Um,
So now you have a demonstration of usage as well.
Yes. And like these, yes. Um, uh, and I think I'm going to test it against memgraph as well, although I'm not sure what their open
No,
source license
before
is
you
yet.
do that, pre-flight this with
Yeah.
guac. That's your next.
I'll pre-flight it as it is because it's all
Yeah,
MIT and yeah.
yeah.
Um,
And someone else can play with it with memgraph if that turns out to be useful for them.
right,
But while this is your fork and it's not in the guac project, it's hard for anyone else to do that.
right.
Like
Um,
theoretically they could, but it's going to feel harder than
yeah,
if
of
it's
course.
just a guac
Yes.
feature.
Yes. Again, I'm trying, it's my first time through
Yeah,
working with tag security where I'm actually committing code and stuff. So I've wanted to not run
yeah.
ahead of any kind of process or pre-flight. And I need the feedback, frankly, because, I, I'm not a supply chain. Well, I guess I can say I'm a domain.
You are a domain expert now. You've
I guess
become
I'm a
one.
domain expert. Yeah, but like I haven't like worked. Yeah, I
That's
get,
fine.
yeah. Okay, well, whatever. Sure, that sounds funny to say, but perhaps I'm a domain expert.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's one work stream. The second is the supply chain security collector, which again, I'm just restating it succinctly here for the video because I've rambled about it before, but I haven't. In short, it fires a bunch of GraphQL queries at GitHub to collect whatever repositories, organizations, and time span is needed, and then can flexibly and in parallel, so that it doesn't incur the wrath of rate limiting,
Yep.
execute those in a reliable way, capturing them as JSON lines, pulling them into DuckDB, as tables, and it does it from TypeScript on purpose. The TypeScript ecosystem has the tools from the guild, the-guild.dev, which is the
Hmm.
GraphQL Foundation nerds that run that. They have a bunch of tools, one of which is code gen, meaning I can that that supply chain security collector has a pinned version of the GitHub GraphQL SDL, the schema definition language, for the various things that we want to enumerate, and then builds a tree shaken, if you will, TypeScript typed query and typed response objects because there's a lot of fields and a lot of entities, and it's very hard
Yep.
to do by hand. So this is sort of the catch things at compile time with validations, schema driven tool that dumps all that to JSON lines, and then once it's in JSON lines, DuckDB rips through it in terms of ingestion, uh, reshapes it, and then the Python client for Ladybug DB and DuckDB, which, and when I say Python client, I mean they are both very, very lightweight embedded databases that end up pulled into
Yeah.
the actual Python process, just like they are for the TypeScript case. So there's a persist to disk step, and then the Python picks up and loads up that DuckDB file,
Yep.
and executes the queries as we talked about similarly in the other work stream. It's materializing the data from DuckDB from the Python client in the form of Apache Arrow formatted data, and then handing off those node and relationship tables to Ladybug DB with a zero copy in memory. Bloop. So it's just stupidly fast, even on a local machine that a casual contributor might have. So it allows really anyone with a laptop, and if you have even a modest dev laptop, you can do like ecosystem grade stuff because the data is not actually that big until you get bigger than you care about for just what my project is, right? And for the
Yeah.
CNCF, like even my M3 laptop here can do the whole CNCF ecosystem with no problem
Yeah.
at all. And it's just and so
Unsurprising. Yeah.
that's the point that we are at now. Um, there are a number of questions that have been
Hmm.
around from the landscape graph that are cogent here, that have been defined, like questions that we would want the graph to answer. We have questions in the supply chain security
Hmm.
direction, and we're at the point where we could go to the community and say, what questions do you want to answer? We have the graph that can just issue cipher queries to very, very, very quickly. Again,
Hmm.
Ladybug DB is read optimized, right? Not transactional, but
That's
but
fine. Yes.
so that's the point where we're at now.
Hmm.
And to get back to that specific tool, which is similarly, it's in my private repo, but we can find a place for it and push it to
Yeah.
there. It enumerates all of this stuff from GitHub, and then does that whole workflow, and then you end up with Parquet files for posterity. I'm sorry, it used to be if you do that, you end up with file per table nonsense. It
Yeah. That's
exports a
fine.
DuckDB database and a Ladybug DB database, which is a .db, and hilariously an LDBDB file for Ladybug.
Okay.
And if anyone wants to play with this that watches this, don't do pip install Ladybug, do pip install real underscore Ladybug, because that's what it is. Ladybug is something different, without the real prefix. But that's only for pip. For npm and other package managers, it's just Ladybug as well as brew. So
Flat namespaces are fine.
so I'd like to present both of those. And if I get it done, a cool putting it all together.
Yeah.
But really, we're at the place where we want to solicit questions, but we have a bunch already, of questions that we want to answer. And those are also documented. I'm doing the doc scrub now. I have some dependabot junk and stuff like that to deal with, but that whole tool is ready and produces a wealth of other information as well that's useful at CNCF TOC level when they want to either assess projects or they want to quickly understand a whole bunch of questions that they might want to ask, both about the projects as well as the repo. The last link I'll say where there's a tie-in with all of this, and this is kind of where I'll conclude, because as we wind down this initiative, a natural question is, okay, well, what now? Right now that we've done this, what might be next? And let me fetch the link. It's already a defined initiative in the backlog, that may make
It
sense
sounds
to
like
do the
it
tags.
provides a lot of data.
Correct. And so this
Um,
answer for this is the for what purpose, right? And
I
it's
was going
just
to say it's not clear to what extent it produces knowledge.
uh so correct, exactly. So it
Yes.
produced the tools that now we can ask the questions in a well-formed way, quantitatively.
Uh-huh.
But let me pull it right up right here. The link there too. It's this initiative, and I don't know that I don't know what the right. I think it's probably this one.
I want to make sure that we don't overpromise here.
I don't want to overpromise either. I actually want to conclude this
Mhm.
initiative because its goals were to develop tools and methods that are useful.
Yes.
Like its goal was expressly, to provide a snapshot of the current state of the CNCF, and or provide a tool that can quickly do that. And so like the
Hmm.
final touches I've been putting on
Yeah.
over KubeCon or have been more on the reporting side,
Yeah.
like run a thing and you get like an executive bundle, right, with a
Hmm.
summary of what's inside, and then you can dive in if you want to. I've got some interactive, exploratory, kind of cool UI stuff that I think is good developer experience. But
Hmm.
it's not it's meant to say, okay, now here's the well-formed data that you can go build knowledge from, right? Without having to run a giant walk instance and like maintain all these moving parts on a cluster or
Sure.
something.
Yeah.
But targeted at practitioners so that they can get. And so I think this is
I
where we
guess
stop this initiative. I think
yes.
with
I think that is
recommendations on like who might now want to go use it. So
that
if
is
you,
I think that is a good place to stop. And um I was attempting to point out, much like CVE counters in your dependencies,
yeah,
you gain a lot of data, but you may not gain a lot of knowledge.
right. And don't
And
want to overpromise that, like, because
yeah.
frankly, I took a broad brush, in terms of the supply chain security collector, but it's
Hmm.
built with documented examples of how you would run a much more narrow scoped, targeted, yet typed and easy to do without pulling your hair
Yeah.
out reading
No,
GraphQL,
I think having
to get more like specific info using the same methodology. And so it's actually what it does now is, and it's like it has a manifest of like just do this one thing, but it's meant for people to be able to have a curated community catalog of Cipher, and
but
queries and result sets
I think
that
it
can
is
be batched.
useful to have simply the instructions of here's how you get the data.
Yeah, well, that already
And
exists. Yes,
making meaning out of the data is an exercise for the reader.
sure. Okay, well,
But
we could do that. That's where it is now. And it's like,
yes,
oh, by the way, here's all the documentation for all of the tables and how you would use it. And
yeah. And
like that's all.
I
That's
think that's
fine
an
too.
okay place to leave things. We just shouldn't promise that it's something else.
Correct.
And as long
Check
as we
out.
don't do that, I'm thumbs up. Like all
Yeah, let
set.
me share my look. Okay, cool. Um, oh hell. Uh, I don't want to drop out of Zoom and back to be able to
Fine.
share my screen because I'm a dope and I
That's fine.
forgot. So if you could
Yeah.
pull up that issue and just roll down for the recording, um,
Yep.
that'd be cool. Um,
Yeah. Give me just a moment. Come on. Copy. Go to URL. No. Okay, let's see. Share window. That looks like the right window. Pardon me.
can you make the font a little bigger?
I'm going to make the window a little smaller.
Sure, that gets it done.
Um,
Yeah, up at the top, there's a succinct body with a picture.
yeah. Oh, were you looking for the?
Well, yeah, I know we're doing
No,
a
that's fine.
recording, and this is like the first. I'm trying to
Yeah.
have a capstone here.
Yeah.
Um, but if you go up a little bit more, just for context, okay. So this is, I didn't want to lose the point. So,
Yeah.
yeah, up at the top there. So this is an initiative that was defined last summer.
Yes.
Wait, in 2025, yeah, last summer.
Last
Um,
summer.
to analyze large scale open source activity data, such as the GitHub archive, uh, uh, using these techniques. And so the same methodologies and tools that what we've talked about thus far in terms of the supply chain security collector, but also Ladybug and just this overall approach of using embedded vectorized databases that run really fast without a
Yep.
lot of beef needed. Um, um, those same methodologies apply to the GitHub archive, which I have done
Yep.
in also open but unrelated work. If you scroll
Yeah.
back to the block diagram picture, the idea is there was some research that was presented in 2024 at the Nodes conference, which is a big
Hmm.
graph data science conference, um, around the University of Waterloo put out a paper where they studied 50 different open source projects. One of
Hmm.
the major constraints, it was a bunch of Apache stuff actually. One of their constraints was it's hard for us to get data. It's hard because we have to like set up these machines and listen for notifications. And like that was
Yep.
part of their
Yeah.
constraints where they could only look at these 50
Hmm.
Apache projects, and even that was not a great set because it's hard to do that. The GitHub archive has that, right? And so
Yes.
what conduct and DuckDB actually can use one of its extensions, HTTPFS for file system,
Sure.
to
Yeah.
just read these archives directly. So like you don't even have to do, well, your own ETL or whatever. Like you can just have it pull in the data you need, and quickly deal with it. So so this initiative, so what they did in their paper though is they came up with 9 or 10 different um, queries, cipher queries, using that GitHub activity data because they were working from the same schema that actually are quite interesting, targeted at open source contributor interaction patterns, by looking at the graph of all the things that happen when you reassemble a graph from all of the discrete events in the GitHub archive, millions of events an hour. And they have those cipher queries in their paper as well. And so this initiative is actually twofold. And what, like we talked about, how the TOC, you know, the fact that we're working outside just the CNCF, but in the greater open source communities, is something to pay attention to. Similarly, this is outreach to academia saying, hey, we're starting from your paper. We've removed the constraint of it's hard for you to get data to do more wide ecosystem analysis for your own research, and it's in the open. And oh, by the way, here you can go use it. Have fun
Hmm.
with it. Let us know if you want to talk. We're over here in the CNCF thinking about these topics too. Uh, and lastly, I think I put somewhere, there's a paper link, but that link across the top, the Nodes 2024 talk, that's
Yes.
the lead researcher presenting her findings in the fall of 2024, which is when it caught my
Yes.
eye and I wrote this. So this is the one of those recommended follow-ons where it's like, hey, now we've plumbed out how to hold these tools in a way that would work in this context. Where it lands in terms of what tag would host it, or if it like that, I don't know, and I'd love to
I
get
mean,
feedback
yeah. And
because I wrote this actually before the tags even landed, right?
to be honest, um, it's great to have a tag assigned, but these things need actual, like, individual human beings
Yeah,
who
well,
care about them
that's me
enough
now,
to carry
right?
them
And so
forward.
here we don't have, tag contributor strategy could use this when we're doing project reviews. We could go
Sure.
like
Yeah.
this is part of a health assessment, but I think from a tag security and a supply chain perspective, what some of these patterns are help build sort of a fingerprint of what's the shape of a project and its contributors, which you know, which, as you know, I don't need to tell you,
Mhm.
everything from identifying projects that need more help, to what might be a vector for nefarious individuals to capitalize on the shape of that interaction graph for that
Yep.
project, right? All the way up to, hey, I've got 200 CVEs because I haven't upgraded this quarter yet, and I have no way to prioritize them. They're all they're all calamitous, but how do I prioritize that? Well, now we can kind of help suggest methods to have an index or a factor or something better than just a raw number that's from the gut
Yeah.
around how do you triage and prioritize that. So I think those are the implications of why it's interesting to do this. I think that one of the outputs of the initiative that I'd like to close down now and present and be done with,
Hmm.
which we said it was scoped at 6 to 9 months. So I actually think we're on time. I don't think
Okay.
delivery was continuous. I don't think I did a great job of coalescing any kind
It's
of
fine.
community, but I do think that that's fine too. And we have some outcomes now. And one of them is now we can use these methods here to make it like it doesn't matter if you want to do it in TypeScript or Python or whatever language you want, but those are the two best, I think. Python better if you actually have to shovel data because the Python driver for these stacks handles the arrow stuff, and the TypeScript one doesn't. But the TypeScript, you can put it into a wall or write ahead style ingestion table, which is what I do,
Yep.
and it's fine, right? So, yeah, I think that is one of the things that there's a couple more, but I don't think they meet the bar to talk about today. Um,
Okay.
so, so what do you recommend I should do in terms of a demo, or do you know when that is with your other hat
Um,
on?
I think I mean, we have Wednesday, you know, meetings every week for tag security and compliance.
Yep.
Um, when you're ready, which could be this week,
Yeah,
you
it could be
know,
Wednesday. I could be.
it,
I'm pretty much good to go to present this stuff because
do
I'd
you
like to
want
get
to
that
present on
feedback
Wednesday?
rolling. What's that?
Do you want to present this Wednesday?
Yes,
Okay. I
that would be great
believe that
because then I could get feedback because
yeah,
I didn't go to KubeCon. I was just here doing this stuff.
I
So I'm
didn't
eager
either.
to talk to people and get some feedback and get some let these
Um,
ideas marinate for others because it needs
yeah.
it needs it
Let
needs
me
it needs it. That's the point.
let me find our schedule
Yeah,
and I will put you on there
I'm gonna
and then
I'm
send
gonna
you a note
ask you
in
to
Slack.
pull up one more link for the video. It's another one that I don't think we need to talk about today, but I do want to put it out there because it is kind of central. Um, the I'm in the middle of another one of the work streams I've done is revitalizing the landscape graph project and cutting Neo out of it and
Weird.
putting it on this new tech stack along with
We
Svelte.
don't
Yeah.
have we didn't have a row for this week's meeting, but now we do. And
Oh, does that mean that there's no, I already signed?
no, the meeting is scheduled.
Is there somebody already signed up for a community demo that day?
There is not.
Oh,
The
well,
the
that's
list of
how
community demos did not actually have this meeting listed on it.
I see.
There we
Because it was
skipped
missing a row. Okay, yeah.
we skipped KubeCon, but yeah, somehow it started up in April and ended on
Okay.
March 12th. I don't know
Uh, so that I
what
can
happened.
prepare for that, how many minutes? I'm really trying to time box things
20 to 20,
and
I would
change
target
how I
20 minutes.
20 minutes would be inclusive of Q&A, right?
I
So
would
really,
target 20 minutes. We can go a bit longer.
okay,
It
well,
could
I,
be up
I
to
won't
40.
target a presentation and a quick demo for in the 7 to 10 minute range. I don't
Great.
want to go
That
longer
would
than 10
be
minutes for
wonderful.
me yakking. So I'll prepare for that for
Yeah.
Wednesday. And then we can have 10 minutes or however much you want of Q&A, but I don't want to
Well, how
I
about
don't want
however much the audience wants?
well, yeah, I'm saying I
Yeah.
don't want maybe do you
Yeah.
think I should keep it to 5 minutes for the
No, I
overview
think
and
7
demo?
to 10 minutes is fine.
Because there's some content, there's some breadth, and I don't want to go too so fast that I sound like the guy
Now,
from Micro Machines
I think
or YouTube.
I think 7 to 10 minutes is fine. I would focus less on the underlying technologies. Like
Yes.
Ladybug DB is great, but we only care about it because we get outputs from it.
Okay. Yes. Good.
Um,
I agree as well. I think in this meeting, talking to you about the actual work,
mhm.
I think it.
That's
That's why I
fine.
scoped it there.
Yes.
But yes, and that'll be a nice lever because I'll have I'll have those questions and answers. Uh, uh, yeah, here's the questions I was referring to. Just so
So,
that,
so I think the important key pieces for that presentation are, um, I'd probably start with, hey, can we answer this question? Demo. Here's the answer to this question.
right.
And then, okay, how did we get that? Okay, GraphQL query. Okay, where does the data from the GraphQL
Right.
query go?
Yeah,
You
can you
know,
give that give that link a quick we can push that really to the screen really quick. Again,
yeah,
I'd share my screen, but
that's fine. Um, yeah,
um in that landscape graph project there are questions to find. The first couple are not germane to this, but if you scroll down a little bit, like 11, 12, and then 14 and then 15 is really the one. So back in 2022, um, uh,
yep.
that was one of the original. So
Hmm.
like, so I think the through line for all of this work has been always we need to be able to answer that question.
Yeah,
But now I see the output of this initiative. Another vector for that is the landscape graph, which is adopting that tech stack as we speak, and getting, really making it all Apache or MIT so that it can move forward pragmatically, but also these methods now make doing that graph something again that a casual contributor on a normal laptop can do and not need a bunch of infrastructure, yet have it still be structured in a cloud native way, right? Just running on your laptop, which has sort of always been the dream, right? Like I want to be able to
sure. Yeah.
have portable workloads, including my laptop or my server or whatever. But so I think that as we just kind of capstone this initiative,
Yeah.
uh, I didn't want to talk about
So
it more than it
so
just
yeah,
is.
I would present answering, one or two of these. Whoops, your video froze. But or my video, I don't know which. Um yeah, let's see. That's probably um I would cap things with, look, here we've done this. Here's where the data comes from. Let me walk you back through the steps. And I'll send the same thing on Slack because I'm not sure if you're stuck. Okay, I'm going to drop. We're about at the end of the meeting anyway, and I've sent Matt notes on the presentation, which everyone can come and see the Tag Security and Compliance meeting on Wednesday.